Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the PodUp with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. PodUp, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
And welcome to a Monday edition, a Labor Day edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We're going to kick this show off on this Labor Day with Coach Bob Sanders joining us on the Titan MR hotline. Good morning, Coach Sanders. How are you?
Doing great, Shane. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Well, let's go back to a young Bob Sanders. Back in the day, playing a little ball for the Davidson Wildcats. Just talk a little bit about your experience of playing, small-time college football and what that was like.
It was a great experience. I love my coaches and, I love being part of a team. It was a great experience. I played a lot of different positions. I never was really good enough to own a position, but I was athletic enough. I could play, 5 or 6 positions. So I was able to move around a little bit. I think that eventually helped me in my coaching because I had experience at doing a number of things, but it was a great experience. I'm so grateful and thankful that I had that opportunity and I love Davidson and I love the opportunity that it gave me.
So when did you know, once you graduated from Davidson, hey, I may want to be a football coach?
Well, all my life I'd kind of been a gym rat. The most influential people in my life were, other than my dad, of course, were the coaches that I had. And I was always hanging around the gym. I was always, all summer long, all day long, I was at the gym, hanging out, helping coaches, working for nothing, but just being a gym rat. And the influence that my coaches from midget football to junior high, on through to high school and to college, the impact they had on me certainly affected my desire to coach. My dad coached us in Little League baseball, so with all those influences, I kind of knew that that's what I was going to do. I majored in political science, not sure exactly what I wanted at the time, whether it was law school or, working in politics or whatever. And ended up just going ahead and getting my teaching certificate. So when I graduated, I was able to land my first job, $9,700 a year coaching 3 sports, so I was a ball coach. So I taught history and was, a football coach. So really enjoyed that.
So we're speaking with Coach Bob Sanders here on the Titan MR hotline. So Coach, let's fast forward to I think it was around 1985, Duke University. You're coaching there. Was Coach Spurrier on the staff? Was he the head coach at that time?
No, he came a couple years later.
That's what I thought.
With Steve Sloan for 2 years and really enjoyed and appreciate Coach Steve Sloan and the influence he had on me, his character and the type of person that he was and, what he meant to me just personally. Much less professionally, but he was there for 2 years and then Coach came. I'd actually worked with Coach for an off season at Georgia Tech back in 1979. And I was, back then it wasn't a GA, it was a part-time coach. You did everything a GA did, all the grunt work, except you could recruit and you didn't have to go to class. So I'd had an opportunity to work with Coach. While we were at Duke, we had played fairly good defense. And so when he came, he ended up keeping the whole defensive staff that was there, a lot of which, that came to Florida with us.
Right. So the 1 year y'all win the ACC before y'all head to Florida, you've coached a lot of ball. You've coached a lot of great teams at Florida. You've coached in the NFL, and we'll get to all that. But where does that year where Duke wins the ACC championship in football rank in your mind?
Probably one of the greatest years, most gratifying years. I think on defense, we had one guy, I think, that made second team all conference.
Wow.
Just to put it kind of in perspective. But with Coach, we always felt like we had a chance to win. Our guys were very, very confident. We didn't let it out in the news media as much, but they actually felt in their heart of hearts that we could win, the ACC. When Clemson came to town, a top 10 team, I can remember the team meeting, at the beginning of that week when Coach Spurrier, he told our whole team, he said, really, we have one chance in a million to beat these guys. He said, but we do have one chance. So here's what it's going to take. And so it was just one of those days. It was kind of rainy. Everything that could happen good for us happened good for us. We took some chances that normally you may not say would be sound football, that Clemson didn't really recognize we were taking, and we're able to hold on there at the end, and to beat Clemson at home, which kind of propelled us. One of the biggest wins probably in Duke history. Especially after that point, we knew we had that good chance to do that.
Yeah. So then, after that championship in '90. Right before the 90 season, Coach Spurrier gets the head job here at Florida. Tell me how the conversation between you guys went. Was it like, Bobby, you want to come to Gainesville with me, or you want to stay here as a Dookie? How'd that transpire?
Yeah, it was pretty close to that, but there was really, I don't think he got to finish the sentence before I say I'd like to come. I don't think he ever completed that entire sentence. Because, going to a place like Florida was what anybody always dreams about, especially if you're a small country kid, Eastern North Carolina, stuttering guy that nobody ever said could even coach or would be allowed to coach because of limitations. And all of a sudden, you have the opportunity to go to one of the premier programs in the country, and with a guy that you loved and had been so gracious to give you an opportunity there at Duke, and to have the opportunity to stay with him and to come to a place like Florida was really a dream come true for a young guy like me.
When y'all got here, I had Coach Franks on a couple of weeks ago, and I was just curious, when you'd been coaching those ACC guys at Duke, which, let's be honest, they may have the same athletes these days, but back then they didn't have the same athletes as, let's say, a Florida or an SEC type school. When y'all first got here, that first day of practice, were you like, holy cow, these dudes, it's a different breed?
Huey Richardson and Mark Murray, and I mean, just those guys that I was fortunate enough to coach, they were, really, really, really good players. And to be in a situation now where in every game you had a chance to at least be favored, or if not favored, have a chance to still win every game, from just a public perception, was really, really neat. And, even though we always felt like we could win with Coach Spurrier, even at Duke, every game, I felt like we were going to win a national championship every week, that just because that's the kind of belief he instilled in us. And I knew I'd been around him enough to know that we would have that chance. I can remember when we first got there, just hanging around with, talking to guys in the evening. We a couple nights end up having to stay, over in the dorm, and just seeing guys like Ernie and those guys. I said, hey, Ernie, just trust me. You will love what happens. And I can remember those conversations and just sitting around, kind of just dreaming about what was about to happen. So that was a lot of fun.
At Chris Doering Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doering Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. We're speaking with Coach Bob Sanders on the Titan Lamar Highline. Coach, so we win a couple of SEC titles the first couple of years, and, we win a ton of SEC titles when Danny and his crew get here. Talk a little bit about, I would probably say, I'm speaking for yourself, but the 96 team, the first ever national championship team in Florida football history, that's got to be a special one for you, right?
There's no question about that. Especially against Florida State, after, the things that had happened, the year we had a great year, and going to Tallahassee, we actually went in there limping a little bit, but nobody knew that. We didn't complain. Coach Spurrier always had a next up, philosophy for guys. So we didn't complain, and still went in there and played them good and tough. But over that December, we got healthy. And I can remember, before that game, walking into the locker room just to talk to my guys, and those D linemen were sitting there, outside back, just sitting there. I could see the tracks of tears that had run down their cheeks, and this was a couple of hours before the game. I didn't even say a word. I just went back and sat down because I said we're ready for this one. So it was definitely a thrill and an honor and a privilege, and I'm humbled just to say that I was fortunate enough to be a part of that team, and just grateful to Coach Spurrier and the Florida Nation and the players that just allowed me to be a part. That was really something. It really was.
When you look back at your years at Florida, and you were here a long time, who do you think are some of the best, most athletic defensive players that played here at the University of Florida while y'all were here? I know it's a tough question.
Yeah, that's a tough question because there's so many. I mean, probably heading the list would have to be Javon Curse. Yeah. Safety in high school, came as, started as, rushing as an outside backer. I can remember I got a call the morning of draft from one of the pro D-line coaches that I had known. And he said, well, tell me why we should draft Javon Curse. And I said, you tell me why you shouldn't draft Javon Curse. So, well, he had, this, I don't remember exactly the number of sacks he had, but it wasn't, top in the nation. I said, yeah, but if you go back and you look at the number of plays that Javon forced to happen, where quarterbacks had to throw the ball away, the pressures and all that he had. I said, if you go back and look at those, there's no one in the country that affects a game and affects a quarterback like Javon. So I'd say Javon, Mike Pete, it just goes, on and on, and then, the great memories I have are not necessarily even those guys that were the great athletes. Larry Kennedy. I mean, I could just, go on and on, about those guys. But some of the guys, Darren Hambrick, I can remember Darren Hambrick leaving spring practice in his football pants and going over to the track and high jumping 6'6", just, after leaving practice, I mean, there's so many guys like that, but also the memories of guys that were just great Florida football Gators, the Willie Rogers and, the Cohens and the Beauchamps and, the Ellis Johnsons and the Kevin Carters and, the Kenyatta Walkers and, just so many guys, that have been, really, really good players there that not necessarily were the greatest athletes of all time. Probably one of the best athletes that I recruited while I was there wasn't on defense, it was on offense, was Ike Hilliard. I can remember when I recruited Ike, I bought his high school tape in. I took it to the running back coach, and he approved him for a scholarship for running back. I didn't tell anybody, so I took him to the wide receiver coach, Dwayne Dixon, and I showed Dwayne, and he approved him for a scholarship. I didn't tell anybody. I took him to the DB coach and showed him the high school tape, and he approved him for a scholarship. So the only guy I'd ever had approved for a scholarship at 3 different positions, and nobody knew, what the other one had said. They just watched the tape, and that's the kind of athlete that Ike was. So a lot of fun to be around.
So, Coach, let me ask you this: we talked about so many guys that are so talented. I want to talk about 2 guys that are coaches' sons. You didn't specifically coach them, but you were around them a lot, and it was first couple of years here. Jerry Odom, the kind of player he was, now who's also a college coach at Tusculum University. And I give him crap all the time. He was the middle linebacker for the national title team, but he was probably the most unathletic guy on the team in James Bates. And you also worked with his dad for a long time. Talk about those 2 guys.
Well, Jerry, very instinctive player, and that's why he's a good coach. His dad, just the influence of his dad, and but just leadership and all those type things, and those instincts, I think, took over for a lot of where he lacked athletically. And really, to a certain extent, the same with James. I think the thing about James was not only was he an effective, tough, hard-nosed football player like Jerry, but he was also a great leader. He could somehow keep things light and moving and He always was enthusiastic. You loved being around him. One of my favorite stories was we were getting ready to play FSU, and we were practicing over Thanksgiving. And I don't know if you remember hearing this, but it was that Thanksgiving morning, when there was nobody on campus. It was dreary, cold, rain, almost rainy, kind of misty. We go out, we're in stretching lines. Everybody's got on sweatshirts, and there's no enthusiasm. There's no excitement. There's nothing. And all of a sudden, James starts arguing with somebody about something. And everybody says, shut up, James, and all of a sudden they start yelling back and forth. Next thing you know, the guy jumps up and runs at James like they're going to fight. Well, James jumps up and he starts running around all through the stretching lines. Everybody's going, what is going on? What are these guys doing? So finally, the guy catches James and rips his sweatpants down, and he had written "Beat FSU" on his butt with a magic marker.
That's thanks for you.
Yeah. And so everybody just broke down. Everybody was rolling in the ground laughing, and we had probably the best practice we had all year after that. But that's just, the leadership that those guys had, and the love of their school, and the excitement, enthusiasm, all those things. I just can't say enough for having had the opportunity to be on the team with those guys. It was fun being at another segment even and watching those guys work. Their work ethic was phenomenal. And, they were accountable, dependable, loyal, so, it was just, a great opportunity to be around those guys.
Yeah. Staying with Florida before we get to your pro days. Was there one game, one opponent that you looked forward to playing every year? Was it Georgia, Tennessee? Was it FSU? Who was it for Coach Sanders?
Well, there were probably 3 or 4 for me because I loved the Tennessee game. I think, my time there, I think, we were 8-3, I think, against Tennessee, but going against Peyton, had to be, a thrill. Everybody said, they were going to beat us, and Peyton never beat us, so that was, and holding those guys while he was there to not having a national championship because of a loss to us was always big. The Georgia game, I think we were 10-1 my time there. So, I loved that Georgia game. We got the greatest fans in the world there at Florida, and just to have that game and just the experience, which is unlike any game that you ever get involved with. Is half Florida, half Georgia. When something good happens, it's deafening. When something bad happens, it's deafening, because it's the other side. So it's just a 3-hour yell fest, and they were always great wins. And then, Florida State probably was the nemesis for me. The nemesis for me because we just didn't have as much success as I'd like, but the game that counted, we were able to get. And probably one of the most disappointing games that I remember in my time there was when we were in Doak and had the big lead, and they came back and tied us. That was probably one of my low points, just because I wanted to beat those guys so bad, and we had them on the ropes, and just weren't able to to close it. But I would say Georgia, Tennessee, and Florida State were my 3 biggest that I really liked. Of course, I always loved to go against Auburn, and then we really didn't get Alabama to the championship games, but I loved going against them because probably our first big win at Florida was in Tuscaloosa against Alabama in that 90 year, and we actually blocked a punt into the end zone late in the game, and which was a huge win for us, on the road there, which kind of got us going off that initial game. Everybody couldn't believe how fast we scored that initial game, right. But I said, hey, that's what we are. That's who Coach is, and hopefully we'll play good enough defensively where we can match that intensity level on offense.
Got a few more minutes here with Coach Bob Sanders on the Titan MR Hotline. Coach, you ended up coaching a long time in the NFL. A lot of guys aren't lucky enough to coach a long time in college ball and in the National Football League. Quick question for you, for our listeners.
I lost you there.
There. Sorry about that. What was the main difference for you coaching college kids and then pro kids? Because, some of these veterans in the NFL, they don't want to hear from any coach. They kind of do it their own way. Was it difficult for you when you first got in the NFL, the coaching aspect?
It really wasn't, Shane, because 98% of the guys want to be coached. And just like at Florida, guys would listen to you if they knew you were honest, you cared about them, and you were trying to help them, and you were helping them. And that was the same thing in the NFL. They didn't want a lot of smoke and mirrors. If they felt you were sincere, honest, and that you cared about them and that you were trying to help them, 98% of the players were very receptive to coaching. Whereas the 2%, that's what you always hear about, guys that don't want to be coached and that kind of thing. Probably the greatest players I coached in the NFL were the players that wanted to be coached the worst. Their best, or just wanted me to be the best I could be. Zach Thomas, Junior Seau, those guys wanted to be coached. They wanted to be helped. They were appreciative when you coached them. Now, was it always easy? No, it wasn't always easy because they were the top level competitors. And you know how a competitor gets sometimes. You have to deal with some high octane situations, But as far as those guys, they were phenomenal professionals. Aaron Campman, Kabir Bajabamila, those guys, Charles Woodson, Al Harris, Pat Surtain, all those guys were just great players. Was on the team with Jason Taylor, watching him works. Sam Madison, Brock Marion, Tim Bowens. Those guys were great professionals that wanted to win, and they wanted you to help them. So, to be honest with you, for the most part, it was a little bit different. You're dealing now with wives and kids, as far as the problems that come up. Whereas in college, you may have to deal with some issues that may not be quite like that. But as far as football is concerned, the really good players wanted to be helped as long as you loved them and cared about them.
Did you have a favorite franchise that you liked?
I didn't. They were, I made it, it wasn't the franchise or the town's job to make me happy. I always went in with the idea that, hey, this was the best job in America, was this one I had right then. And, I loved everywhere. Miami was unique and as a little bit different clientele at the games, a lot of different people from all over the country. Then going to Green Bay, it doesn't get any better than Green Bay as far as a place to live and that kind of thing. Then Buffalo, the people there were phenomenal, hardworking people, loved their team and had been on some hard times financially. Then out to Oakland was a totally different, here's an Eastern North Carolina country kid going to Oakland, California, which was totally different from me. But again, Raider Nation and that experience was just phenomenal. And then, of course, ending up in Phoenix and was again a different, kind of franchise, but the desert, a totally different way to look at things. And then even going down to Orlando with the Apollos with Coach, was phenomenal. We enjoyed, the excitement, the football crazy people of Florida, they love their teams and it was a great experience there too.
Yeah. Last question for you, Coach. When it comes to coaching, when you look at the NFL and a college coach, obviously college it's become year-round because of the recruiting, the way it is nowadays. It's crazy. Was that somewhat a relief for you when you went to the NFL, that you didn't have to worry about this decision-making of a 17 or 18-year-old kid? Is he going to come play for me?
It was from that standpoint, but then, when you alleviate that situation then you add something else into the equation, So I enjoyed my time, in coaching. Enjoyed the guys I worked with. You mentioned Carl and Rich McGeorge and Jim Collins and Bobby Stu. I can go on and on. John Hope. all the guys that we worked with, Lawson Holland, just goes on and on. Jimmy Ray Stevens was with us down in Orlando. Having that opportunity, I think, again, recruiting was a little different, and it was just starting into that, computer stage where anybody could get on there and say you said anything, and all that kind of stuff, and it was starting to, to get kind of out of control. So again, I was looking forward, because anytime you're a competitor, Shane, I think you want to coach at the highest level you can possibly coach at. So for 43 years, I was blessed. I started in high school and had the opportunity to work at small colleges, big colleges, and then had the opportunity to go, to the NFL. Didn't make it to the Super Bowl, played in the NFC Championship game twice, just was, fell short twice to making it. But the experiences I had through every stop have been such a blessing from the good Lord. And I'm just so grateful and thankful to all the coaches I work with, especially Coach Spurrier, probably been one of the most influential guys in my life and the way I look at coaching players. And I'm grateful for Florida and all the people there. Yep.
Last thing, I ask all the guys that work for him or play for him, you got to have one good Coach Spurrier story you can let us hear right now.
I got so many. We could see, we'd be here all night. But, I think the thing I remember most is being on the sideline with Coach and just, especially at Duke when the crowd noise wasn't as high, and hearing our quarterback, make a check and him going, no, and him making the check from the sideline, and it turns into a touchdown. I can just remember so many times that happened, and getting on the bus, for the national championship game, and him having our practice schedule on the napkin, because we'd all been together. We knew what he wanted. We knew what he expected, and the standard was the standard. And so it wasn't something that we had to meet for 2.5 or 3 hours to know how we wanted to practice. We knew how he wanted us to practice, and we knew what the standard was. So it, just working in that atmosphere. And then I guess the last one would be on my job description, I was the handicap coach on the staff, because he said I was the only honest one that would keep the handicaps right. So every time they wanted to play and I had to, to put the handicaps out, everybody was mad at me for the whole day, because I said, hey, turn your cards in then. I'm just doing what Coach asked me to do.
That's right. That's great. That's great. Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking the time. Glad you're doing well. Maybe we'll see you back on the sidelines one day. We shall see. But thanks for joining PodUp with Matthews in the morning.
I appreciate it, Shane. Thanks. Great seeing you.
That's Coach Bob Sanders. We're going to take our first time out of the program here. When we come back, we'll be joined by JC, Johnny Cornell. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning on a Labor Day edition from the Crime Prevention Security System studios. We'll be right back.
Hey Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. PodUp with Matthews in the morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Gainesville Turnover Specialist.
Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Celebration Point Town Center. Center State Bank. Chris Doring Mortgage.
Our touchdown sponsors are
Campus USA Credit Union, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Radware, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to this Labor Day edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I want to thank Coach Bob Sanders for joining us. Now we're going to go to the Titan MR Hotline. We're joined by Coach Sanders' old boss, the head ball coach, Coach Spurrier. How are you?
Oh, hey, Shane. Good to be with you. I got me a new mask
Mary Howard over at the athletic department gave it to me a week or so ago, so I'm gonna wear it. It's got my number on it. You need to get number 9 on your mask.
I know. We need to get somebody to make those for me. You're going to take it off now so you can talk.
Yeah, I can take it off and breathe a little bit.
Coach, real quick, let's talk a little bit about this past week. We ran on my show an interview you did with Coach Bobby Bowden for the
Rising Stars.
Yeah, the Rising Stars. And I couldn't spit it out there. Just talk a little bit about that interview before we talk about what else you got going on.
Yeah, it was nice to be with Coach Bowden after, 10, 12, 20, almost 20 years since we've competed against each other. And he did have some fantastic teams, Shane, as we all know. They were in the top 4 in the nation, I think something like 11 of the 12 years that we played them. We were looking back talking that if we hadn't scheduled FSU in the regular season, maybe we would have met them for the national championship about 5 times. And certainly if they hadn't played Miami, they may have 5 or 6 more national championships. But it seems like FSU only got 2 in that 14, 15-year run, where either Miami or us would knock them out of national championship. So anyway, but he's a good guy. You can't help but like Bobby. He's 90 now, and he's always said very nice things about me and the Gators, and it's time for me to say some nice things about him and the Seminoles.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Coach, they came out with at Florida Field, Steve Spurrier Field, the Swamp, whatever you want to call it, about 17,000 people they're going to allow into the stadium. You got to wear your mask. I guess once you get in there, do you have to keep your mask on, or if you're spaced out, they're going to let you take your mask off? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, in the paper today it said when you're drinking anything or maybe eating anything, you can take your mask off. But other than that, keep it on. I'm sure you could take it up and down a little bit to maybe catch some air, because it is going to be, the first game is going to be a nooner against South Carolina, so it's probably going to be a 90-degree day or better. But, yeah, that's what we got to do and got to spread out, and that's just the way it's going to be if we want to play. So I think we all want to play so badly, we will follow all those directions.
Yeah, I guess, put your coaching hat back on or coaching visor back on. How weird do you think? I mean, we've seen some games. Central Arkansas has they've played 2 games now. South Alabama and Southern Miss have played, some other schools. It's just weird because it's almost like a scrimmage. Nobody, you can scream out ball plays. You can hear what the other team's saying. How strange is that going to be for the players and the coaches?
It'll be a little bit strange, obviously, at the beginning. But as you know, Shane, we were fortunate enough sometimes to get way ahead of those teams when we went to their ballpark. In the fourth quarter, there might only be 20, 25,000 there. And most of them were Gators that made the road trip. I remember a bunch of games like that. So, but I don't think it'll have a big effect on the game. Both teams, players, coaches desperately want to win the game. And that's what it is in the SEC. It just means a little bit more, it seems like, than other football leagues around the country. And the fans that'll be there will be screaming and yelling. The rest of them will be watching on TV. TV money hopefully can help make up for the lack of money from the attendance. So TV ratings should be out of sight this coming year.
Coach, you think the Big Ten is going to end up playing this year?
I don't know, Shane. If they were going to, I wish they'd hurry up and say, let's play. They keep dragging it out, or I don't know if they're even thinking about it or what. But certainly there is a push to play. And I think they ought to play. I think Pac-12 out there ought to play also. But for some reason, their leaders decided it wasn't the right thing to do.
Coach, the restaurant's moving along very well. We're gonna. You got a commercial that we're gonna show here on the show real quick, and then I'm gonna come back and ask you a few questions. So I'm gonna have the producer run the commercial right now.
Okay.
Okay, they're gonna run it later. We can start talking now.
Okay.
Well, Coach, that's that. You're basically recruiting folks to come work for Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Talk a little bit about
that's right. September the 9th, Wednesday. We're going to have like a job interview out there at the Indigo Hotel from 9 to 5 all day. We're looking for chefs, cooks, bartenders, people that have got some experience in the restaurant business or maybe just want to have some experience. And that's from 9 to 5 this coming Wednesday, September the 9th. I'll be in and out there a little bit, maybe in the morning and afternoon, say hello to a few people. But yeah, we're fired up about the restaurant. We're shooting for like March the 1st of 2021 to maybe have it really ready to go. And hopefully this virus that has gripped the nation will subside a little bit, or else we got to learn how to live with it, I think, and deal with it as we go through our lives.
So the positions you're looking for: cooks, servers, bartenders, hosts, chefs, any of those type of people, right?
And hopefully we can hire them in January. That'll be the time. So if they've got good jobs right now, they don't have to quit their jobs, that's for sure. And we'll start piecing it all together January of 2021.
So we'll put this on the show on the Facebook Live, that anyone is interested can visit and sign up on spurriersdraft.com, spurriersdraft.com, and it'll be a meet and greet this Wednesday. They're at Indigo Hotel, and if you want to work for the head ball coach in his restaurant, head on over there and maybe they'll hire you. Coach, anything else going on? How's the golf game?
Golf game, I hadn't played in about 2 or 3 weeks. But anyway, I heard you had Bob Sanders on your show recently. And
yes, sir.
Bob, of course, worked with me at Duke before we came to Florida. And, one of the best coaches, one of the best recruiters probably I've ever had as an assistant coach. And, of course, he coached with me down with the Apollos. We went 7-1, finished on top of that Alliance of American Football. Oh, gosh, just last year, I guess, 2019. So Bobby's a good one, and I don't know if he's going to coach again or not. He's semi-retired like a whole bunch of us. But I think the right opportunity, he'd probably come back and coach somewhere.
He told a good story about you, how he was always in charge since he was the only honest coach on the staff beside yourself about being in charge of the handicaps.
Yeah. I used to tell Bob, you get everybody's handicap together because you're the most honest dude out here.
Yeah, he told that story. It was great. Well, Coach, be safe out there. I like your new mask. And before we know it, we'll be in the swamp watching some football.
I'll tell you a quick story about Bob. He thought I was going to fire him. We're playing at Duke. We had a medal into the tournament, add them all up, and we both hit the ball off number 10. I still remember. And there's 2 balls over there in the rough, and I hit his ball, Shane.
Ooh.
And we get up on the green. I hit it on the green. He got one, and he was sort of stuttering a little bit. He said, Coach, I think you hit my ball. And I looked at it, and I said, you're right, I did. So I took a 2-stroke penalty, went back to the fairway, and I lost it that day. He thought I was going to fire him for turning me in. But no, I hit the wrong ball. And I've done that a lot of times. When you're in the rough over there, you got to identify your ball if there's another one close by. So, but yeah, we would have a tournament 4 or 5 times a year, all the time up there with those Duke guys.
Yep. All right, Coach. Well, we'll talk to you soon. Looking forward to the restaurant.
Okay.
And we'll talk to you again.
All right, Shane. Good to be with you.
All right. That's Coach Steve Spurrier. Join us on the Titan MRI hotline. We're going to take our second time out of the program. When we come back, we'll be joined by Johnny Cornell, and we'll wrap this show up. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Hey, Gators. This is Coach Steve Spurrier. PodUp with Matthews in the Morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Gainesville Turnover Specialist.
Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Celebration Point Town Center. Center State Bank. Chris Doring Mortgage.
Our touchdown sponsors are
Pomodoro Cafe.
Big Mills Cheesesteaks,
Cornerstone Financial. McDonald's Gainesville. My IT Masters. Gainesville Neon and Signs. 84 Lumber. Tropical Smoothie. Chick-fil-A on Archer Road. Aver and Smith Personal Injury Attorneys. Orange Theory Fitness. PRP Regeneration Specialist. And Dowling Signs.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to this Labor Day edition of Matthews and More from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I want to apologize for Facebook stinking up the show today. It's not our fault. Facebook's just not getting it done on Labor Day. Now we're going to go. Now we're going to go back to the Titan MR hotline after we've had Coach Bob Sanders on. We've had the head coach on. Now we're going to go to a guy who ain't coached a lick in his life. JC, Johnny Cornell. Good morning, JC.
Good morning, QB. I did coach Little League Baseball, sir. I did coach.
I know, out at Diamond Sports Park.
That's right. And we were very good. They wanted to name our team the Red Sox, not the Boston, but they wanted to call us the Red Sox, and I blocked that, and we became the Cardinals. And that team went unbeaten and won every game, and it was really exciting. That was the 1 year I was undefeated. Yep.
Well, congratulations. Well, JC, it's a Labor Day edition. You're at the beach, walking around in your Speedo. How's the weather over there?
Well, the weather was great. Very hot, very sunny. It was in the high 90s, and there was great crowds at the beach. The low tide comes in on Crescent Beach and Butler Beach here in St. Augustine, and there's so much room on this beach, and there's a lot of people that came. It was great. Today it looks a little cloudy and overcast, so it'd be a great day to watch the final round of the tournament up at East Lake, the Tour Championship, and see if Dustin Johnson can hold off Justin Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great golf course. They're playing some tremendous golf. You know, it's weird because this is the last event of the year. The season is supposed to end after the Tour Championship.
No.
However, it doesn't. We still have the U.S. Open and the Masters.
That's
which
right.
is going to be very odd that, you know, usually you got tournaments leading up to those events. There won't be any. So,
yeah.
So have you watched much of this tournament?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was really one shot I saw yesterday. I guess, Johnson hitting that 236-yard shot on that par 3 to 6 feet. That was a tremendous shot. And some of the things that I noticed was that, you know, you have to shoot 6 under. You have to be aggressive. Otherwise, he'd be down a stroke if he didn't shoot 6 under, or if he just shot 2 under, he would only be up by a stroke or so. So, you know, this is great. You got the biggest players in the world playing. It's the final round. It gives us something to do on Labor Day. And, you know, don't count out Xander Schauffele. That guy is so close so many times, and he's really, really a great player. He's probably one of the top 5 or 6 players in the world. Rahm is capable of going low, as we all know. And then, of course, the PGA champion, Morikawa. Morikawa is 7 back. He'll need Johnson to come back to the field a little bit, but Morikawa could definitely come in 2nd or 3rd in this tournament because he's only 2 strokes behind Thomas. And of course, you know, Thomas is capable of going low with anybody. So
yeah, you got to remember, I don't know why they do this. I mean, you know, Dustin started at 10 under par.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, it's hard to catch somebody playing the way he's playing when he has
it is.
He had a 2-shot lead. I think it was on John Rahm starting before he even teed it up. So
yeah.
It's bizarre how they do that. JC, did you watch any college football over the weekend?
Yeah, I looked at that Memphis game Saturday night in the Liberty Bowl, and that was fun to watch. A lot of points scored. It's going to take some getting used to for us when we watch these, you know, these big games with these conference teams playing. Next week with the ACC kicking in, I think it's going to be strange seeing empty stadiums with these big teams playing because you're kind of used to seeing empty stadiums with some of the smaller teams. But it's not taken away, I don't think, from the quality of play and from the football itself. And it's really, really nice to have. I mean, that UAB Central Arkansas game was a 10-point game, but there was 80 points scored. So that, you know, that's the kind of football that a lot of people get excited about. It's a lot of scoring, a lot of offense. And that South Alabama Southern Miss game, too, was interesting to watch. A nice regional game between 2 schools that are within, you know, 2 hours of each other or 3 hours of each other. So, I mean, I think it's coming off pretty good so far. And I was impressed with what Army did shutting out Middle Tennessee. That was surprising to me. But the Memphis game was the one I watched, and it was fun to watch. I mean, I liked looking at it. It was something fun to watch because of what we've been through in this offseason and how long it's been since football, of course. And of course, I think it sets us up for hopefully a really good start to some of these major conferences kicking off next weekend, specifically with the ACC.
Yeah, it's I watched a lot of college football. Went to a couple high school games as well.
You did?
Depending on what area of the state or region you live in.
Yeah.
Some of these high school games were packed.
Yeah,
Standing room only, no mask, nothing. Now you had to be outside of Alachua County for that, but
of course.
But it's great that we have high school sports going on. We got college football going on. We've already played 2 weeks of college football. No issue. It really bothered me. I'm watching. Was it yesterday? Or maybe the day before, I'm watching ESPN or one of those games, and at halftime, breaking news: Tennessee has 44 players. They can't practice. Okay, they don't tell you everything. Okay,
no, right.
Some of these guys aren't practicing because so and so had, like, sister had COVID. So somehow they may have come in contact. So they're just quarantining them to be safe.
Right.
Florida, once again, has had 0 positive tests since early July. It all comes down to the commitment of the players taking their responsibility. Once you leave the facility and you go back to your apartment or your house or dorm or wherever you're living, you have got to stay within your teammates. You can't go out partying.
Right.
It's hard on these 18 to 22-year-olds, but you have to do it.
Well, all we're doing is asking for, 3 or 4 months of just discipline within those things around you, the surroundings that you put yourself within, and knowing and having the awareness. And the coaches have to do this job of allowing these kids to understand or teaching them what is at stake here and how important it is. And if they're committed to it, they'll do what they're supposed to do and social distance and take care of themselves and wash their damn hands and do things that that we've been doing for 7 months. And that's really all they're asking the kids to do. And I think, listen, because of so-and-so's sister had it, I know the exponential effect of this, and that I understand that, but it can be so misleading when you look at ESPN, you look at CNN, whatever it is you watch, and you can get this headline, and all of a sudden you're supposed to react dramatically to it. And I think cooler heads will prevail. And if these kids do what they're supposed to do, and listen, September 26th is still 3 weeks away. So there's still some preparation that has to go on. And I think that hopefully nothing will explode in our faces. And I'm still confident everything will go fine.
Yeah, I'm extremely confident that the season will be fine.
Absolutely.
I have zero doubts.
Yeah. I watched some of that basketball game. I just want to mention that game last night, the Houston Lakers game, because, I was watching the third period. I turned it on the second half, and Houston was down 16 points. And they were down 18 points, and they outscored the Lakers, I think, by 16, or maybe I have it backwards. Anyway, they took the lead. And that was the kind of thing I was waiting to see in these playoffs from two teams that have the marquee players. And Westbrook couldn't throw it in the ocean. And I guess Lakers did what they had to do with Davis and James. But that was entertaining to watch. I saw the Raptors tied up with the Celtics. I liked that just because I like seeing good series. And then, of course, in our hockey, we've got the Lightning tonight in the Eastern Conference Finals. So things are starting to wrap up in these pro leagues, and we're getting to the nitty-gritty finally. And that's kind of...
Were you excited about your Dallas Stars winning last night?
The Dallas Stars, tremendous effort. How you shut out the Vegas Golden Knights, QB. I mean, I know that shocked you to see that the Vegas Golden Knights didn't score a goal on Khudobin. But Khudobin's done a great job filling in for Ben Bishop for the Dallas Stars, and I think the Stars are the surprise of the Final Four thus far because they were not supposed to beat Colorado to begin with. So we've got Dallas up 1 in the Western Conference Finals. They're all moving over to Edmonton now and playing. The Lightning will be playing tonight against the New York Islanders, who won a 7-game series against the Flyers. And even though they're playing in empty arenas and they're only playing in the bubble, these guys want to win that cup because it means just as much to them winning the cup in this scenario as it would in any other year. So that's cool.
Yeah. Did you watch the Kentucky Derby at all, JC?
I missed that. I have to admit, I was out there cooking Italian sausages, the hot Johnsonville types. That's the kind you should buy. And I don't know if they're a sponsor, but we have Johnsonville sausages and burgers on the grill with cheese. Cheese has no carbs. And by the way, QB, I want you to know, since we started this thing in March, the social distance thing, I have lost, I mean, you might not believe this, I've lost 19 pounds. I've lost 19 pounds. I've gone from 212 to 193. I got on the public scale over here in Anastasia, and I jumped on that thing with my flip-flops. I even took my flip-flops off, and I weighed 193. I then proceeded to
flip flops off, and then you put on the scale in a public place. Your feet are all nasty. And
no, they weren't. I had clean flip flops on, and I jumped on the scale, and I hit 193. I haven't hit 193 in years, and it's because I'm not eating bread. I'm not eating pasta. That's really hard for me. No pasta, no bread, low sugar content, and drinking White Claws. That is doing it. Huh?
Your spritzers?
But the wine those
wine coolers?
No, they're seltzer water things, and they have no sugar, very few carbs, and it's a lot of fun to drink when it's hot outside. And then I went to Hurricanes across the street from the condo here, and they gave me a Hurricane shirt with hurricane flags on the back, and I sunk in the thing. It was a double XL, which typically I could wear. I put that double XL on last night. I felt like the thing was falling off of me. So I am losing weight, QB. You will be impressed when you see me more.
That's great. That is great. I also want to thank all our newest followers. Last week was a record for us. We gained 250 followers in 1 week. Not likes, JC. We like likes, but we prefer followers. Followers is more important.
Right.
So I want to thank everybody. Make sure you share. You can check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. Let me see here. I think we got a text here. It comes from Rick. Rick says, we got Duke and Notre Dame next week.
That's right.
Buchholz graduate will kick ass.
That's right. Well, speaking of Buchholz, I think they're going to have their game next Thursday too. Their first game in high school.
They play Friday night, JC.
Friday night. But the first game that my friend Lindsay gets to go to, because she didn't get to go to the last game because the tickets weren't available. I guess they're trying to keep fewer people in. She wasn't allowed to go in. Well, she wasn't allowed to get a ticket. Maybe it's because she's a freshman. Her dad, Jay, was not happy. But we have plenty of ACC football. Yeah, Syracuse is playing North Carolina as well. West Virginia's playing. What's that?
Who the semis got?
The semis are on the schedule with the just give me a second here. I just said it before the show to you. Why am I not seeing it? The Seminoles are playing Georgia Tech. So Georgia Tech is traveling to Tallahassee to play a 3:30 game, and James Blackman, that's the guy he listed as the quarterback. That's the guy who was failing dramatically last year under Willie Taggart, and I'll bet you under Mike Norvell he plays better. We'll see.
We shall see. So, JC, we got golf today.
Yeah.
You got hockey tonight. Hockey continues, and the NBA playoffs continue all week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's good. Good.
Thursday night, the NFL kicks off.
Mm-hmm.
You excited for the NFL? You in a fantasy draft? Any of that stuff, JC?
We're going to do that, QB, and I think you're going to see the two of the highest paid players in football history playing on Thursday night with Watson's new deal, $160 million over 4 years. My goodness. Just do the math there. And then, of course, what Mahomes got with Kansas City. I think, obviously, the Chiefs have to be considered the favorite in the AFC. Why wouldn't they be unless something happens? I mean, they re-signed Jones on franchise tag. They got on the defensive side, they've still got the offense that nobody can stop right now. And Andy Reid is re-upped for I don't know how many more years, 4 or 5 more years. So everything looks really good for Kansas City, but that's typically not always the way it works out from week 1 to week 16. And I don't know. I think the Chiefs should win that game, but who knows? It'll be fun to watch at least and see Deshaun Watson try to keep up with him because he's going to have to.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, JC, I don't think we've spoken with you since Florida came out with their attendance policy. How many people they're going to allow? I think it's going to be 17,000, which doesn't seem like a whole lot to me. I saw Marshall Stadium, who only holds about 38,000, had about a little over 12,000, 13,000 in their facility.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so we did touch on this on Friday, QB, and one of the just briefly though. And one of the things I mentioned that I hope will happen, and I'm thinking hopeful here, glass half full, but I'm thinking as if this season continues on, by the time we get to the middle of November, I'm just going to say November, 25th, whenever, after Thanksgiving, let's just say after Thanksgiving, just before Thanksgiving, there's a chance that if these numbers don't get worse, if we don't have an outbreak, there might be a chance they let some more students into the ballpark. I think they should let the kids come to the stadium first. I think the students should be allowed to go in a season like this, just give all the tickets to the students. And if a couple boosters want to go, a couple boosters want to go. I can say that it's going to be impossible for me or somebody our age, QB, to sit in a stadium with a mask on and watch a football game, especially when it could be 96 degrees outside. So they're going to have to probably sit them underneath the overhangs if there's enough room at Florida Field for that, and there probably is not. So it's going to be interesting to see how many people actually show up for this without any festivities outside, no Gator Walk, no Spirit, nothing, no tailgating. I just would like to see these restrictions loosened by the time we get into late October. I don't know if that's wishful thinking. It probably is. But at some point, if things don't get worse, then I think they will get better. And if they get better, we could probably see as we get toward the end of the season, more fans be able to go watch live. But you and I are probably just going to enjoy it like we mostly always do and see how it works out on the TV.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I do hope they put more people in there.
I want the students to get
the whole college experience is the tailgating and all that. If I was going to give up one thing, I can give up the tailgating if they allow more people in the stands, which I don't see one problem with that. NASCAR's having 40, 50, 60,000 people in their arenas. Why they can't have more? I think they need to allow the band, some portion of the band, whether it's a pet band like they have at basketball, just that small little band. They got to have something in there to make it sound like a college football game.
Right, because there won't be any cheerleaders. And you know, I don't know. I think it's just one of those things where they're so scared because of the way these students came back to campus at places like up at Alabama that got a lot of video, and Clemson and places like that, where you saw kids just piling around a bar outside, standing in line, no mask on, nothing like. And these presidents are very hesitant to take risk at all. The fact that we're even getting football, I think, is great. And I still think, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, that the Big Ten will at some point come around maybe and start playing in October. I haven't heard much this weekend about that, but last week that's all we really heard. And so we'll see what they do if they re-vote. But you're right. As far as the atmosphere goes, it's certainly an asterisk. But as far as the playing goes and as far as winning a championship, there's not, in my mind, any asterisk. This is as real as any other season, and we're going to love having 10 conference games, QB. You're going to love it, and I think it's going to lead, hopefully, to a 12-game schedule with 10 conference games, 1 non-conference game, and across town or a rival, or 2 non-conference games. 2 non-conference games and 10 conference games. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see.
This Day in Sports is brought to you by GTS, Gainesville's premier maintenance company. Whether you need carpet cleaning or expert painting, fences mended, or any handyman services, call GTS at 352-363-6622. JC, this day in sports in 1986, Dan Marino throws his 100th career touchdown pass, the fastest QB in NFL history to do so. I wonder if that record still stands.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up. I couldn't tell you. But that guy, he had a lot.
I bet you Patrick Mahomes breaks it.
It wouldn't surprise me if either him or Watson. I mean, Watson throws a lot of touchdown passes too. I think Mahomes, though, is so rare of a player that we're really lucky to get to watch.
They're not even a comparable quarterback.
I'm just trying to set up the game Thursday night, QB. Look, there might be comparable somewhat in their bank accounts, though.
Well, that's about as close as they're going to come, because there is no talent ever in the history of the game like Patrick Mahomes.
It is something. It's amazing. He sat out his first year when Alex Smith was the quarterback there, and then Smith got hurt, and he was the guy. They were going to move him in anyway because Smith became a free agent, but he didn't play his first year. And then when he played his first year, his rookie year, he almost won.
So, JC, I guess we can talk Tuesday and get your NFL predictions. I was going to ask you who you thought was going to win the Super Bowl this year, but we'll wait till Wednesday.
That sounds good. We'll do that. Do some homework. I'll do some homework and get ready for that, and I'm hoping that things just stay cool like they are right now, because it was fun seeing that college football Saturday night.
Yep. So we got football Thursday night, pro football kicking off. We also have the Miami Hurricanes playing UAB Thursday night. So it's here, folks. It's here.
And Seminoles and the Jackets. Yeah, that's right. It's here. Seminoles and the Yellow Jackets Saturday. I mean, just the fact that they're playing, I'm just happy about it.
Yeah. All right, JC, enjoy your Labor Day over there. Make sure you cover up that Speedo you're wearing now.
Plenty of sunscreen. Don't worry about me, QB. But I'm losing weight, man. You won't believe it. It's tremendous.
That's awesome. All right, congratulations to JC on his weight loss. Folks, today's show is going to be a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Make sure you be safe out there. Have a tremendous Labor Day. We will see you tomorrow. We have a special guests tomorrow. It's Buddy Martin Tuesday, but we got Bill Pizza Feinberg, Pizza Bill, who is the guy that kind of holds the whole athletic program together. He's a treat. Y'all will enjoy that show for sure. So be safe out there. Happy Labor Day, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.